There's some kind of army helicopter just circling around over my head. What we doing, guys? What we doing? Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you are having a great day so far. So today we're going to be talking regrets. Makeup regrets, makeup that I purchased this year that I feel like, with the benefit of hindsight, it was a mistake. Now, quick disclaimer, I don't really have regrets as far as purchasing these products because I feel personally the most useful thing I can do for you guys is point out if a product isn't going to be for you, possibly, and save you money. That is like my #1 goal here on YouTube. Spending my money so you can save yours. I don't actually regret any of these purchases because hopefully my telling you that it wasn't for me or why I didn't love it or why you may or may not love it yourself will hopefully have saved some of you some money. So I can't regret that personally. Like I said, you know, a YouTuber's job is to invest the money that we make from our channels to save you guys money, your hard-earned money yourselves, by watching reviews and making more informed purchases. So I have no regrets in that sense. But I'm trying to think through a non-YouTuber's brain that if I had no channel, if I hadn't been able to tell anybody about these products, if I had just purchased them myself for my own use, what would I have regretted from the purchases that I made this year? So I made no decision about numbers. I just went through everything I bought this year, looked at everything and just pulled out the products that I thought, you know what, if I could do this again and I didn't have a channel to tell everybody how I felt, then I would not be purchasing this again. So first up, it's the Benefit Georgia blush. I was quite crushed by this blush because from the swatches I saw online, luckily it was only the mini one, I will say that. But the swatches I saw of this online, I thought this is going to be my perfect glowy, peachy, I mean, even, can you even see anything on there? This is supposed to be a blush. And I'm sure if you had super fair skin, this might work as a blush on you. I'm going to try and build this up, guys. I'm going to try. I mean, I hate these boxes anyway. Who thought this is a good idea? So I'm going to try and build this up. I'm not sure you're still going to be able to see that. And this is my problem. And I do understand that, you know, that not everything has to be tailored towards my skin tone. You know, lots of people with fair skin struggle to find products that aren't too much on their skin tone. So I'm glad if this works beautifully on your fairer skin, then like I'm super glad that it looks beautiful on you. But I feel like the marketing of this was really misleading because I wouldn't have bought this if I thought that's what it was going to look like. Clearly it was no use to me whatsoever. But the swatches, and the reason I bought that blush is because I felt like the swatches online from Benefit and their, you know, marketing pictures did not look like that. Like they looked like it would work on me. I think they might have even had like a picture on different skin tones. So it was certainly marketed that this should show up and work and look beautiful on me, and clearly it doesn't. So a definite fail for me. Another product that was a fail for me is the Makeup by Mario Master Secret Glow Highlighter. It's just, even touching it, can you hear that? A bit of ASMR for you. Yeah, it's very Vaseline-y. It's so sticky. And I know that, again, can you hear that? I know that it says it's non-sticky, and I just don't know on what planet this is non-sticky, because this is like glue. It feels like a Pritt stick to me. It's so sticky and just, I don't like, it doesn't feel nice. I don't think it looks that nice. I don't know what I was thinking buying this. I don't know what I was thinking, but I wasn't clearly thinking. And this is one of these that I don't really regret purchasing this, because I feel like so many people may have picked this up and would have had the same experience as me. So I'm hoping that some of you didn't buy this because I did, and then you can make me feel better in the comments if that is the case. Just say it anyway, just lie. Just tell me you were going to buy 10 of these and you watched my video and so you didn't, you bought none, and I saved you £1,000. That's great. That's what I'm here for, guys. But I'm not here for this. I don't understand it. It's not for me. Next up, the Wayne Goss Pearl Moonstone palette. You guys know that I didn't get on especially well with this in my review. The issue I have with this is that it just I can just never be completely happy with the outcome with this palette. I just feel like I'm always left a little bit frustrated. I really love this shade. I don't mind this one. I know lots of people feel like it doesn't really belong, but I really like that shade. The black works beautifully for me. These three shades are too similar once they're on the eye. I struggle with the performance. It kind of always ends up a little patchy and it's just not my favorite. I just find it very frustrating and I'm so sad. Like, I really wanted to love this palette. I really did. I had high hopes, high expectations. I love the color story. I love that it's unique. I really enjoy the size of the pans and everything like that. But for me, I don't know if it's maybe an issue with my skill level or the way that I apply these eyeshadows, that it just doesn't work for me and how I do makeup. But yeah, it was definitely one that just didn't quite pull off, and it's expensive, so I feel like, you know, you want to love it in order for it to feel as though it's worth the money. Next up, something from Nars, and again, this was not a fail for me. This is the Tinted Glow Booster. It's not a bad, terrible product, and lots of you, when I did a comparison between this and the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter, whatever that one's called, these glowy mixer type of products, a lot of you preferred this one because it was more subtle and understated, and the Charlotte Tilbury is too glowy for you. So this is definitely just a case of it's not necessarily my preference. So this is kind of a multitasking product. It can be used as like a primer before foundation for a bit of extra glow. You can mix it in to foundation for an extra glow. I'm sure they say you can use it on top and your high points as like a liquid illuminator, and it's supposed to also have like smoothing properties, not just the glow. And you can also wear it by itself, and that's how I'm going to start trying to get some use out of this, because this is just sitting in my drawer at the moment. I find under foundation or mixed in with foundation, it's not glowy enough. I just feel like it doesn't really add anything, and you guys know me, all my foundations are already glowy, so for me this was something that I purchased for review purposes, but it isn't something that I'm really going to get much use out of personally myself, because I love a glowy, dewy, luminous foundation anyway, so this isn't going to be necessary for me. And as far as it being a liquid highlighter on top of makeup, it's definitely not glowy enough for me to use it in that way. The Charlotte Tilbury one it certainly can work beautifully as a liquid highlight on top of foundation, but this one is too subtle. It does have a nice sort of filtery, glowy effect, but I don't feel like it's anything that shows through once foundation is on top. So yeah, for me, this one just doesn't do enough for me. It doesn't do enough, you know, to earn its seat at the table. Now, I wouldn't call this palette a fail. This is the Huda Beauty Naughty palette. I don't even want to say the word. Can you see how hard it was for that to come out? But yeah, I love the color story of this palette. It's definitely not a fail. It's definitely not a bad, terrible palette that is awful on the eye, or, you know, looks terrible or doesn't work or doesn't perform well, but it just is, for me, okay. You know, so I'm like, again, although it's not a fail, although it's not a terrible product, although there's nothing disastrous about it. I love a lot of things about it, actually. But for me, if I wasn't going to review this palette and I didn't have a YouTube channel and I could go back in time, then I wouldn't spend the money on this palette, just because it just doesn't quite live up to the expectation that I had for it. I just think it doesn't quite come together how I want it to be, as special and stand out as much as I want. I have a lot of competition in this color story category, like in my collection. To do this and be like up there, you've got to get your stuff together, and I feel like this just, it falls a little short. It's a little lackluster for me. Next up, I don't believe this came out this year. I don't know. Certainly not the original, but maybe the additional shades. But I picked this up this year, and it's the Plouise Cosmetic Base. This is like her eyeshadow base. I don't know how else to describe it. I can't get on with this. I'm so sorry. I really wanted to love it. I wanted to start using a proper eyeshadow primer. I wanted to join that gang. I want to be in the club. But it's just not for me, it turns out. I just can't get on board with putting eyeshadow on top of unset primer. I don't have the skill. It doesn't, it's too much. It's much easier, I find personally, for me, for my skill level, for the type of looks that I want to do. I find it so much easier just to use concealer and set it with powder. I guess you could probably set this with powder. I don't know what would happen. But what I find about this is it just creases and moves around over time when I use it unset. And I find it just trickier to work with than a set concealer, you know, having to sort of stamp your shadow in and then, you know, start to slowly blend it out so that you don't move this or you don't encounter any issues with an unset primer. I don't get it. And I know it gives you more, it's going to give you a higher level of pigmentation, but that for me is not necessarily a good thing because I need all of the control and toning down that I can get. I need the opposite of that. So yeah, this for me, it's just not for me. I'm sure it's great. And I know, like, is it Nikki Tutorials who swears, but like this is the best eyeshadow primer of her life. But obviously Nikki Tutorials and the looks she's going for are not the same zone that I live in. And therefore, obviously her goals for her makeup are quite different to mine. You know, she's like maximum colour, maximum pigment, maximum impact. Whereas I'm not necessarily getting off at that same stop. You know. Next up, a foundation that again is in no way a fail, but would be a regret for me if I had just purchased this for my own purposes. And it's the Clé de Peau Beauty Teint Fluid Eclat Matte Radiant Fluid. Oh my God, there's like, is that the whole name? I don't know why that's necessary. But I mean, this, don't get me wrong, not a bad foundation. Performed very well in my review. It is flawless. Perfect coverage, does everything very, very smoothing, very, very flattering. But for me, it's too matte. I can't do it. It's too matte for my preferences. You guys know I am not a matte fan. You guys know I'm a glowy, luminous, skin-like. That's my jam. Flat matte. And I don't want to say it's flat, because it is a beautiful matte, but it is definitely matte. There's no glowy luminous. I don't really find this to be a radiant matte as far as like the Tom Ford soft matte. I don't think this is a soft matte. It has got some life to it, but it's too matte for me is what I'm saying to you. Let's not beat around the bush. That's it. That's all she wrote. It's just too matte for me to love it, and it's very, very expensive. So if you're going to buy this, you want it to be like your exact criteria for foundation. I've lost my mind. You want it to be perfect. You know, you want it to be, love everything about it. Like, for example, the way I feel about my Tom Ford Radiant foundation, that one is like, it's, you know, slightly less than this one, but it's over £100. So if I bought that, I would happily repurchase that. And like, to me, it's worth the money, although I'll always try to get, you know, a good 10% off. I'm not crazy, but I don't mind paying that. And to me, it's worth it because it's literally everything I live, breathe, die for in a foundation. This is not, because it's too matte to be my friend. So for that reason, if I hadn't have reviewed this and hopefully saved some of you some money, then I would have regretted it very badly, because I'm just not going to use it. It's just too matte for me. The Hourglass Infinity Powder. I've spoken about this before. We are not friends, you and I. I was so disappointed in this. I was so excited about it. I really had high hopes for this. I thought this is going to be life-changing. And I'm really confused about it as well, because I know my friend Tara, when she reviewed it, was like saying, oh, it's too glowy. But for me, it's very strange, because it just leaves, I don't know if you're going to be able to see what that's just done to my hand, but it leaves like a grey cast on my skin because it is too light for me. And I'm pretty sure they said it was like for light to medium skin, and I would definitely say I'm medium at this point because I'm pretty much on my winter skin. So I'm not like, I mean, fair enough, when I first used this I was probably more like medium tan, but I'm definitely in medium skin now, and it's still leaving a super grey cast on my skin. It's a very weird one for me because it is very smoothing, so it does do that. It does give you that filtered, smoothed look, but it's just got like flecks of glitter, and I don't find it that luminous. It's almost like mattifying. I used this on top of like a fairly luminous foundation, I think, in my review, and it just took all of the glow off and the shine off, which was kind of the opposite of what I thought it was going to do. And then when Tara used it, she said it was like she was a disco ball. So that was really confusing. So I don't feel like the powders are consistent, which is something that people have an issue with Hourglass, because they do these marbled pattern and every one is different. So every person's product has a different pattern. So it's quite possible that I might have ended up with one that's got way less of the illuminator in it and Tara's has got way more, and that's what's going on. And I don't love that either, that, you know, it's a bit of a lottery as to what you're going to get. But yeah, for me, it didn't work on my skin tone, and I felt like from the description it should do, certainly now in winter, but it leaves a funny looking cast. It kind of takes away the glow of my foundation, and then you end up with flecks of glitter but not really a luminous finish to the skin. It also looks quite heavy very quickly, so you don't want to use much, but it doesn't really do anything if you don't use enough. Anyway, I digress. The whole point of this rant is I don't like it, and I do regret it. I mean, I don't, because I know that's one that definitely a lot of people would have skipped because of my review, so I can't regret it. But if I didn't have a review up, then I would definitely regret it with my whole life. And next up, the Urban Decay Lash Freak Mascara. I had such high hopes for this mascara. I really genuinely thought this was going to be like maybe a new holy grail. I loved the look of the wand, the brush. I thought, oh, this looks great. It looks like it's going to really hug the shape of your lashes, and it's going to give you that lift, and it's really going to get every lash. I love that sort of bristly looking, you know, spiky type brush. I liked the fact it had that little bit on the end that was going to get my lower lashes, and then when I used it, it was disappointing. I will say that I can get my lashes to look really nice with this mascara, but the process is painful. Like, it takes a lot of work, and it's scratchy. It scratches my like eyeball, my eyelid. It scratches my eyelid, my waterline. It scratches it because the bristles are just too short. So in order to get, you know, to the base of the lash, it's making contact with like my waterline. I just feel like the bristles just needed, for this to work, this brush, the bristles needed to be longer, because it's just, for me, on my lashes, I feel like it might work better if you have much shorter lashes, natural lashes, than I do, because I've got really long lashes. I need to get in there and, you know, really comb through, and in the process of doing that, I'm just constantly making contact with my skin, and it's not pleasant, and it takes a very long time to build it up to get the look that I want from my mascara. So just all in all, I wasn't a fan. It was disappointing because I was hyped for it. I thought it was going to be great, but it just didn't work for me. But I have heard a lot of you guys say that you love it, but for me, it was definitely a fail. So there you have it. Please let us know what your fails or regrets makeup wise were this year. We all have different preferences and opinions that will influence how we feel about these products. So it's always interesting to me to hear products that didn't work for you and why, so that we can just learn more about the products and the way they work differently for different people. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'd love to see you in the next one. Otherwise, take care for now. Bye.